Live streaming is on.
Greetings and welcome to Stunt Hangar Video Hangouts. My name is Charles Carter and I will be your host this evening. Here at Stunt Hangar Video Hangouts, we talk about building and flying model airplanes, sport flying, competition flying, show and tells, and also what you have done in your shop or at the flying field lately. To join our conversation, if you are already a member of Stunt Hangar Forum, you can just find the link and scroll down to a section called At the Bench. And if you're not a member, please register at stunthangar.com. You must place a space between your first and last real name. You must also use a valid email address or Sparky will not approve you. Now, if you're inclined to not come in and just want to watch us on YouTube, that's okay. Please enter your questions or comments in the chat box and I will do my best to make your comments part of the show. Now, if you find the Stunt Hangar Video Hangouts or the many building videos that Sparky has done on this platform helpful and informative, please like, subscribe, and share the videos. That helps the channel grow. And please consider joining our YouTube channel memberships, starting at $4.99 a month, which is less than 17 cents a day. Now, your support helps offset some of the expenses of running Stunt Hangar, and with your membership, you'll get special badges, member-only videos, and once a month, Sparky has a question and answer show for members only. Now, you can also use the super chat, which is in the bottom of the chat box on the YouTube side, to make donations. And I want to thank you for your past, your present, and future support. Now, please keep in mind that we'd like to have the conversations family room friendly. In other words, don't use any words you wouldn't use around your children or grandchildren. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and post the link and I'm going to invite some other people in. And that's going to happen right now. All right, so the link is posted and shortly some other friends to join us. But right now I have a friend with me, Bart Kaplinski. Hey, Bart, so how you doing?
I'm doing great. Doing great for an old guy, you know. Now I got back to doctor and my blood's good. I'm healthy. I feel good. I'm sleeping good. And no real problems.
Fantastic. Well, look who came in. All right, Dennis. How are you, Dennis?
All right. Feeling like I'm lost soul. I haven't been here in a long time. So.
Yes. Now, do you know Bart Kaplinski?
Not since about 1972, Bart.
Yeah, about there.
Yes, we know each other, sort of, but at some point it's like the old timers just kicking in here. That's only 48 years ago.
So. Yeah, that's all.
That's all.
It's last week.
Like half a lifetime.
I mean, that's like a week before I graduated from high school. So.
I wish I could say that.
Hey, Peter.
Hi.
And Tom. Hello, Tom.
Hi, Charles.
So what you been up to, Tom? How's your CNC machine coming along?
That's fine. I actually been working on my other little steel marble project and had grandkids over all weekend. And we had really windy, rainy weather here in Minnesota today. So I do have a video, a short video I'd like to share if that's okay.
Oh yeah. You know what works better to is the video on YouTube or is it you're on your own hard drive?
See if it'll work.
Hey, Gerald, long time no see.
All right. Right. Lucky to be coming because it's raining outside. I can't work outside, so I get to come in.
So Tom's going to show us the video, and that's what's on the screen right now.
Okay.
Streaming is on.
Well, look at that face. He is so excited.
I think it scared him at first.
My little brother.
I'm still working on that part.
Hey, Barton.
Hey, Bart, do you hear Bob Hunt?
Pardon?
Do you hear Bob Hunt? He's trying to say hi.
Is Bob on here?
Yeah, how you doing, dude?
Hey, Bob, how are you, buddy?
What's up, brother?
Oh, there he is.
Got my little brother here too, Denny.
Well, that is really cool, Tom. So did you and your grandson put that together?
Yeah, something I've been working on for a little bit.
What are we looking at here?
Well, Tom was showing the video. Was that it, Tom?
Yeah,
All right,
I
great.
didn't want to take up too much time. I just thought you might think that was kind of cool.
Well, I mostly thought your grandson was cool. I mean, just the expression, the excitement. Man, I thought I got excited about model airplanes and stuff. That guy is excited.
Good.
Yeah, he enjoyed it.
I have a quick question for Bob. I've been reading through some old stunt news, some of the old stunt news on the Pampa website, and I happened to come across a series of articles about Les McDonald and the stiletto.
Yeah, the
And
stiletto.
there was some mention about the Polish World Championships and some sort of international incident that you might have seen.
Yeah. He was too chicken to write about it, but I've written about it in my similar series on the Genesis that I just finished, and that will be released pretty soon, since the statute of limitations has run out.
It sounds like you had quite an experience.
Well, I got arrested, for espionage. So. at gunpoint, actually, 7 gunpoints.
That's not funny.
Well, now it is. Wasn't at the moment.
And I would highly recommend anybody who's not read that history, because it covers not just Les and the stiletto, but a lot of the Nats and the World Championship competitions back in like starting at 1972 all the way through to 84 or something. Like
Yeah, and he was brutally honest in that series too. He told it like it was, not just the good stuff, but all the bad stuff too.
I mean, some of those world championships really aren't that fun, which you guys have to go through.
Well, one of them was fun.
I want to guess which one that one was.
So, yeah, Bob might have been there.
The Polish one was still fun. It was pretty funny, but there was a serious element to it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I could tell the story. It takes a while, but I'm not sure everybody wants to hear that.
I think you tell great stories, so go ahead. Hey, Tryon.
Hey guys.
Actually, I prefer to send it out in the Genesis book I've written. This is
Okay.
Lester convinced me to put a chapter in there about that. He said somebody's got to write about it. We were told when we got home by the State Department. They called my boss, Hal Carsons, and said he's not allowed to write about this. He can't talk about it. He can't publicize this in any way, shape, or form. And that was like 1980. So I don't think anybody cares anymore.
Yeah.
But if they come and take me away, then you'll know.
I have to make a note of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a bolt on my front door.
How you doing, Barton?
I'm doing pretty good, buddy. I'm doing pretty good. Feel good. I haven't been doing much model airplane stuff, but I'm kind of been working on my house, and eventually I'm going to get back into it. I've had some back problems. I had to have my eyes done and a bunch of stuff. So it got me kind of low there for a while, but I feel really good now.
Oh, good, good. Well, welcome to the club on the back problems, you know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I spent 7 hours helping somebody move yesterday. Had a truck, and we did a lot of work in 7 hours. But my back is okay today, so
Yeah.
Good.
yeah. Things are okay.
It was funny. I was at a Barton's house during one of the VSCs. I was over there changing the motor mount pads on the Caprice, remember?
Yeah.
It broke and we made new ones. And I was walking down the stairs from the shop upstairs, and I looked on the wall, and there was a picture of my mother. And it turns out that his mother and my mother are identical. I mean, they look so much alike, it's scary. So we're long lost brothers.
I always said we were brothers.
Startling.
At that one Nationals, we had the same haircut and everything. We look a lot alike.
We have the same haircut now too.
Yeah, well, I'm getting pretty darn close.
Must have some similar ancestry in your past somewhere.
Nothing to grow.
What are you laughing at, Adam Eason? You're getting there.
I was going to say, it's not
Hey,
in,
Bob, does this look familiar?
not in yet.
Yeah.
It's
No.
white.
Or
Not at all.
a Prowler, one or the other.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we all have, I think we're all envious of Gerald's hair. So,
Yeah, I am.
yeah,
It's going crazy.
he's looking pretty
My
good there.
father's 90. My father's 90 now, and he's still got a bit of hair, so it must be from his side of the family.
Really? Well, my father was follically impaired, and my mother used to bust his chops about it. And he said, listen, he says, grass doesn't grow in a busy street. And she says, yeah, well, it doesn't grow in a billiard ball either.
Yeah, it's been a good hobby for an awful long time.
How about it? We were just talking about you the other day. Somebody was mentioning they were at the 67 Nationals in Los Alamitos, you know, where you won.
Yeah.
And you were talking about what the Mathis and the Chisholm was second and Geeske was third, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I watched both flights. I can't say about myself, but I think Geeske should have been second on that one.
Yeah. Geeske thinks he should have been first. So that's the story I got.
Oh, yeah, well, probably so. But no, he flew the last flight of the day, and the judges were leaning a little bit, and it took him up to second place. So
I lost your camera there, dude. Anybody else? Oh, there you are. You're up there. All right. You moved.
Yeah, sometimes they get moved around.
they put my initials on the other side there. So you
Like
know,
Hollywood Squares, you know, when you put
yeah, yeah, really. Well, you moved too. Come to think about it,
what's that?
you moved as well.
I moved, yeah. Okay.
So, Gerald, it's been a long time since I've seen you, Gerald. What you been up to?
Oh, I've still been flying, but been busy working at home often because your afternoon, what's afternoon for me is your evening. Sometimes I'm busy and I can't get away from different jobs, but today being a wet, rainy day outside, I'm able to tear myself away and come along and join in. But yeah, the interesting thing we had on the weekend was judge training, and I was one of the flyers, and my wife and sister-in-law and son Otto were all training as judges. So we had probably the best New Zealand flyer, Kevin Barnes, along, training people how to do the basic judging. They were flying just the basic pattern, not the F2B pattern. They were flying like a novice or sportsman pattern, they call it, which doesn't have any of the squares. And they're just going through the process of judging how to score and what to look for. And it was quite an intensive session. They actually had it for quite a few hours. I might post a little bit about it on Stunthangar later on with some pictures, because it was quite an exercise to get all these people along and have people to do the flying. And they were all sitting there drawing out their scores and discussing each maneuver. And it was a good idea to sort of try and have some new judges coming along in the wings, so that the same people aren't judging at every contest, and you're not dependent on just a few to judge. We've got a bigger pool of people that are able to come along and judge in the different areas of New Zealand as well. So that was a really good session that we had on Saturday, and I'll try and post some information on Stunt Hangar with some pictures about it. And my flying wasn't great. Everybody was criticizing my flying's too high and everything was too big, and all the maneuvers were too large. But largely they said the pattern was the right shape, but too large and too high. But top dog flyer, our best flyer there, was putting us all to shame. My brother came out of retirement and put in some patterns as well, but it gave everybody a chance to look at how each person flew and look for their faults and try to judge in an unbiased manner. But, yeah, it's one of those things. You realise there are a lot of people in the background, any contest, scoring, writing out all the, keeping tabs on everything, all the runners as you call them, taking the scores and somebody computing it. And team race or combat events, you've got so many other people that are part of the contest that we couldn't run it if we just went along to fly. So we've been trying to work at having enough people to help run the contest.
Yeah, so it's a problem. What plane did you fly?
I just flew my old Ringmaster because it was just a basic pattern. I brought other models with me, but I flew just a basic Ringmaster in mine.
Okay.
Brother Carl flew a similar model, just like a Flight Street Peacemaker. And they were good for what we wanted, just a basic model to fly the round maneuvers. But yeah, everybody that was part of the judging said they got a lot out of it anyway.
Your audio is kind of impaired, it sounds like. Is that the same for everybody else?
Yeah, I think everything's a bit slow here. The bandwidth isn't too great. Maybe I should change from Firefox to Chrome. That might help.
All right.
I've got good pictures, but I haven't got great audio. What I'm getting is a bit broken up.
Yeah.
I might try coming back. I'll try coming back and using Chrome.
Okay. Yeah, try that.
Okay. Yeah, I'll give it a go.
Alrighty. Hey Ed, your picture looks kind of blurry. And what does that sound? You guys hear that?
Or sounds like somebody's torturing a cat.
That's other signals coming in or bleeding into ours.
Okay. Hopefully it goes away.
Being compressed to the point that everybody's on top of each other.
Okay, Charles, you're centered square now in the Hollywood Squares thing, you know.
Oh, on my camera, I'm down in the lower right corner.
On mine, you're center square. You're Paul Lynn, you know. So. Only a few people get that, you know.
Yeah.
Do you have to talk like him?
No, I hope not.
So, Peter, are you going to still do the Monaco demonstration later on?
Peter,
you're still muted, Peter.
Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, I am. I'm just trying to figure out what colors I want to.
Well, that's fine. Whenever you're ready, I was just curious. Just wanted to know if that was on.
Sure.
So,
I'm just trying to figure out what colors and how am I going to do this, because I don't want to peel it off after I do
it. Charles.
Yeah.
As for our discussion yesterday, I went through and corrected and reformatted a couple things on that thing on user ratios, and I haven't yet posted the revised version to the CAD Classics on the vendor's corner. but I'll put it there as soon as I get it replotted in the PDF file.
Yeah, that'd be great. Like I said, that was an eye opener for me. Like I said, I don't know a whole lot about the ratios on the control system, and so what John and I talked about yesterday was what he showed a couple weeks ago on the ratios of the bell crank and the flap horn and the elevator horn. Really interesting stuff.
What airplane are we talking about?
Any airplane.
Oh, okay.
The idea, Bart, was to give them a tool how to use the ratios to figure out with their flap rotation how to get, or their bell crank rotation, kind of set that at 45 degrees. That's about what I found you get when you got your handle in your hand and trying to go from lock to lock, you get about 45 degrees either way. And so, let's say you want
the elevator.
Yeah, the flap and the elevator, you want, say 30 degrees of flap. What's the ratio to go from 45 degrees to 30 degrees?
I've never used 45 degrees of flap with 45 with elevator.
No, you missed it. 45 degrees of bell crank rotation.
Oh, all right. Okay.
And how do you get from that bell crank rotation to say 30 degrees flat?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Does that sound better now on phone instead of iPhone?
Yeah, you sound better. You sound good.
Oh, that's good. My audio's a lot clearer now too.
Yeah.
We're all still pretty ticked off at you about the hair, though.
Yeah. Look at all those baldies here, with the baldies outnumber the guys with hair. No, since you came back, it's even Steven.
Jealous, he won't get us anywhere.
Bob will never like you, Gerald.
No, well, I still would like to have some dreadlocks myself personally, but that's never going to happen.
Yep, afraid not.
I tell you what, if I had hair long enough, I would have dreadlocks too. I wouldn't care as long as I had long hair.
Yeah. We like Samson in the Bible with the dreadlocks.
Yeah.
Most fun I have, the bird lands on my head, he can't stay there. Slides right off.
They definitely can't build a nest in my head, that's for sure.
Yeah, back when I had hair down to here, I had a little like that, like Jerry has.
Bobby, what have you been up to?
Who?
Bob?
What's that?
What have you been up to?
I mean, model airplane wise?
Yeah.
I'm building. I got a new twin. Really, really happy with that, how it's coming along. And I got a new airplane that was going to be a Crossfire, but really the Crossfire is nothing more than an 80 Genesis with a fin on it. And I decided to make it into a Genesis, so I'm going to have another 80 style Genesis. But it's got some real interesting features on it. It's got wing fence. It's got 4 receptacles, 2 in each wing. It'll accept wing fences or receptacles to hold little wings in front of the wing that will be like turbulators.
Okay.
And it's going to have twin rudders, and it's really exotic.
Well, let's see a picture of that pretty soon.
Yeah. Actually, it'll by next week or so, it's all one piece right now. But I want to get the fins on it and the tail block and everything all done, and then I'll show you. The twins come along real nice.
Sounds cool.
Yeah.
The Crossfire is a beautiful airplane.
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah. Everybody thinks that the Crossfire was originally a control line airplane. The first Crossfire was a radio control pattern airplane that I designed when I went into radio control pattern back in the early 80s.
Yeah.
And the name was significant because I took a lot of control line thinking into radio. And it was because of the crossfire of technology from control line to radio, and then eventually from radio back to control line. So that's where the name Crossfire came from.
I had a hoot when I think it was my number. Well, it had to be my Nats winning Tempest. I was down at Miles Square Park in California. Back in the day, they had a runway for control line, one for free flight, and one for radio control. And I knew one of the guys over in the radio section, so I drove over there, parked. They all wanted to see my airplane. And I said, someday you guys be flying them just like this. And so it was really amazing. I got drafted right after that. I went to Korea. And got to Korea, went to the hobby shop, and there's an RC Nobler.
Wow.
That was pretty wild stuff. Of course, they've gone a long way since then, but just to see that, was a prediction came true.
Yeah, how about it?
More or less. Because back then, they didn't have a lot of fully symmetrical wings and stuff.
I think I showed everybody here on the forum at one point in time. I put up the picture of the RC Crossfire, if I'm not mistaken, but I could show you again if you want to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Oh,
Okay, now well, give me a minute here. I gotta figure out how to do this again.
While you're doing that, we have a guy in the chat on YouTube. He says that his grandpa, Zeb Atlas, flew the P-51 in World War II.
Wow.
That's cool.
Wow.
Cool stuff.
Yeah.
While he's doing that, any of y'all ever seen one of these?
Let me click on you, Ed. Hang on.
Yeah.
That's a engine, right?
Yeah. It's a Bluebird 46. The Bluebird 46. It was on a RC plane down in my dad's basement. We've had down there for, well, they got it while I was in the Navy, and I got out in '95, so it was sometime before '95 when they got it, and we've never had it off the ground.
Wow.
I ran it some when I got back home. We started it up, and I taxied it up and down the road for a little bit, and that's the only time it ran. So I thought, I'm gonna go over and take the engine off of it and see what it is, and it's a 46. And I weighed it, and it weighs the same. I think it's like 0.02 ounces more than a LA 46. So,
oh, really?
I had to get a Venturi for it.
What's the make of that motor?
It's a Bluebird.
Bluebird.
Bluebird NS 46.
Sounds like an old one.
Made in Taiwan. Well, it was it's pre well, it's in the mid '90s, so yeah, I don't know.
Okay, not that old.
It was new when they bought it.
It looks like it has ball bearings in the front.
I remember.
Yeah, it's ball bearing. It's a ball bearing.
Powerful. And you probably put a Venturi and a needleback on there.
I looked it up, and nobody's got any information on them. And there was one guy that said that he flew them back in the '90s, RC, and they were strong engines, easy to start, all that. So I'm just gonna, I guess, get a hold of Lee and see if I can get a Venturi for it. With the Venturi like this, I'd need to get is that just a sprinkler type?
It looks like
you have to measure it.
Kind of like, I've measured it. It's just like the Super Tiger 51.
Yeah, it does. Remember? Yeah, it does.
Okay, but it's actually, if it's a 46, it's actually bigger. It's bigger. It's like 13 millimeter is what it is.
What do they call those things?
There it is.
I remember that motor, but can't remember what it. Oh, look at that!
Gorgeous.
Beautiful.
Oh, look at that.
You stabbing elevators bent, Bob.
What's that?
You stabbing elevators bent.
He stepped on it.
That's gorgeous.
Gosh, that is gorgeous, Bob.
That was the
That
first.
is pretty.
Had removable wings, and it's a 60 size airplane, you know.
Yeah.
But
What color was it?
It was yellow with red and black trim, very visible. And those strakes that are on the side, they were attached to the wing halves, and the wings would come off with the strakes. And the servos were mounted outside the fuselage with the output arms inside the fuselage, so I could keep the fuselage real thin like a control airplane.
Oh, good grief.
The servos were actually on the outside of the fuselage, and they were covered up by those jet strakes wings went on.
Huh.
Well, that's a beautiful airplane.
Beautiful.
Thanks, man. Yeah.
I mean, I know it's not a color picture, but wow, it looks awesome.
Yeah, well,
Bob,
terrific.
you have never been one to really follow the norm, have you? You always come up with something new and interesting.
Yeah, I was dropped in my head too many times when I was a kid.
I'm logging in.
Oh, me. Well, I hate to ask a dumb question first thing when I get in here, but Bob's here, and I've been meaning to call him for 2 weeks. So, Bob, your article where you talked about those control line wires, the Russian, I think.
Yeah, the Ruslan-Kurenkov lines. Yeah, the one from Ukraine.
Yeah, that's them. What did you say to buy 14s instead of 15s?
14.5s. If your airplane is under 64 ounces or under, you can fly on 14.5s because the AMA rules state that it has to be within half a thousandth. So unless you have somebody that's using a micrometer like a C-clamp, they're going to mic out at 14.5, and they're legal at 15s.
Okay, I was getting ready to order some. I'm looking for those things everywhere, and all of a sudden found them. Would you believe Amazon?
They're wonderful. Now he's got a brand new one out, a brand new series of wires. Matter of fact, Steve Yampolsky, his American rep, just sent me a whole bunch of them. I haven't had a chance to wrap them up and fly them yet, but I was out there the ones that I have been using, and they're, you know me, Mark can tell you, I fly in nothing but solids. But
I've never seen you fly anything with solid.
For the first time in 50 years, I've put my solids away and I'm flying on these things.
Wow.
Bob, I have a question for you.
What's that?
I have a question for you because I bought a set of lines from them, and I wasn't very happy with them because they were kind of snaky and very stiff, like in twist.
Which one did you get? He's got several different series of lines. I don't know which one you got.
Yeah, I got the one that's 014.5, and they were 4 strands, I think.
Are they brass plated?
Yes.
That's what I'm flying. I love them.
Yeah, but mine were so stiff. I mean, I just they were very stiff, and they were also not straight. They didn't lay down on the ground straight. They're kind of like wavy. And they were dragging once you put loops on them and stuff like that. I really didn't like them at all. Maybe you got lucky with a better set of lines than I did.
A bunch of guys around here are flying them. We all switched over to them. I know that Orestes Hernandez is flying on them. I think Paul's flying on them.
Yeah, I think you got a bad reel because I actually have I don't know, about 8 sets of those, and they none of them are like that.
Have you tried that yet, Martin?
What?
Bart, have you tried those Ukrainian?
No, I haven't. I'm kind of curious about it.
I'll see if I can get some and send them to you.
Thank you. That would be very nice.
Yeah.
I do have a question. How did you clean your solid lines?
How did I what?
How did you clean your solid lines?
Acetone, and I clean them, before every flight,
Yeah. I used to use a stuff called No Touch. It was like Rain X, only a different brand.
Mm-hmm.
That stuff was wonderful, but I understand they don't make it anymore.
Well, there was a product you could get at Ace Hardware that worked real well. It was called Rain Shield, not Rain X, but Rain Shield.
That's it. That's the stuff.
There's a green and white can.
Yeah, I don't know if you can get it anymore.
You can't, but Frank McMillan and I went online and we searched out every can in the universe and bought them. So. I'll sell you a can for $150.
I bet you would.
What are we gonna do with him?
I mean, only because you're my friend, you know.
Yeah, I know.
What are we
Other
gonna
guys,
do with
they're
him?
out of luck. I know.
Now, if you need some, I got plenty of it. I'm not going to use it anymore because I like those Russell and Kieran-Kopp lines.
Yeah.
And the new ones, I got a whole package from Impulski of the brand new ones he's got out there. It's supposed to be even better. So I haven't tried them yet, but I want to try them.
Yeah.
I'm gonna order a pack in the morning from Amazon and see what
Yeah.
see how they work. I got a new airplane. I thought I'd get a new set of lines. I got a new handle, new airplane.
See,
I went to unfold them today and went to try to test flight today, and the lines had so many kinks in it. I said no, so we put it back in the truck.
When you go to his website, see if he has announcement about the new lines. They're brand new. They just came out.
Okay.
That might be.
I just looked at them on Amazon, Bob. I don't know about his website. What's his
Control
website?
ControlLineParts.com. ControlLineParts.com.
I'll look him up a little bit.
And if you send an email to him, tell him I sent it. He'll say, "Who?"
Yeah. Who's that guy?
Or you can say, Charles sent you too. You'll go, who?
What's that?
Yeah.
You can tell him that Charles sent you also. Charles Carter.
One good who deserves another. What can I tell you?
And he's a really nice guy. He really is.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
So Yampolsky is now representative in the state?
Yeah, he's his United States rep. Mm-hmm. Steve Yampolsky.
Yeah, he's on the forum here, not this one, but the Stunt Hangar, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
What, born in Russia. He speaks Russian, I know that.
Well, he's Russian.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Born in Russia.
Yeah. He's also a pilot. He's also a pilot, and he's supposed to come down in his airplane. I have an airport insensible mile from my house. And the day.
Cool.
That's pretty neat.
Martin is a pilot too.
Yeah, I pilot here, pilot there.
Yeah. You still have your ticket?
I've actually got my license, so I just have to get out and renew. But it wouldn't be that difficult, really.
Now,
it's darn expensive nowadays.
I know you can do it in control line. Can you fly 3 full-size airplanes at the same time?
Yeah, but I had to have some teeth worked on after I did that. I'm going to go get a photograph. I'll be right back.
For those who don't know, Barton used to be at Disneyland when it first opened, and he flew at Futureland. He flew 3 Cox PT-19s or P-40s or something at one time.
I remember reading about it. So he can fly with his right hand. My goodness.
Yeah.
And his head, apparently.
And his teeth, yeah.
He had it in his teeth?
I don't know. On his head or something, but he had
it on
his hat, wasn't it?
Yeah, I remember seeing
how to do his helmet.
Yeah, I remember seeing that fellow
walk. Let's ask him. Barton,
on his head.
Where did you have the third airplane that you flew at Futureland when you flew 3 at one time? Where did you have the third one connected?
In my mouth.
I thought you had a helmet.
In your mouth?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, they didn't pull all that hard, I'm trying to get a photograph out here if I can manage to do it. Let's see
that'd be a bugger to get line tension on that third plane, though.
Well, no, actually, we flew on about 25 feet because at the flight circle at Disneyland, we didn't have all that much room. So our lead off our airplane we flew was the Piper Comanche. And we had to put steel cable on that one with a Vico bell crank because they pulled out. Actually, I got a story about that. One of our guys was supposed to change that. And he didn't. So I was announcing one of the shows, and we just filled the tank part way because they'd run too long, and our show was about 20 minutes. And he was flying it, and the bell crank folded, the nylon bell crank folded, and the plane came off the lines and hit the chain link fence. And there was a big, heavy set gal sitting in a chair with a bunch of packages. It looked like exploding popcorn when she flew off that chair. It would have hit her right in the nose.
Oh,
It was, I was announcing and I was doing everything I could not to laugh.
I'll bet.
Let's see. I don't know if this is going to come up to. Where am I here?
Get up there. Let's see.
You moved me somewhere. Where'd I go?
You got to go a little higher.
Here I am. Yeah. Can you see it?
Yeah, there's your.
Yeah.
172?
That was my 182 Skyline.
82. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
That just got back from the shop, and the wheel fairings are still in my garage. They were fiberglass, and they had to be redone.
Wow.
Boy, that was a fine airplane. It's in Big Bear Airport in California now.
Wow.
And he went through it, and he's one of these guys. He's got a split window Corvette. He had a gas station for many years down in Corona, California. Not Corona, Corona Del Mar, no, almost Newport Beach. And at the end of the day, you could walk in his 6-car bay. It looked like nothing had ever even been in there. It was like a hospital. It was just beautiful. So I sold it. I sold this to the right guy. I know that. Of course, it's all different colors and stuff now. But
That's cool.
yeah, I flew it 10 years before I bought it. Dick Williams had it. Dick bought it from his uncle.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of a family thing for a long time. But yeah, we went all over the country in that thing. I miss it a ton.
Yeah,
I'll bet.
In fact, a couple of years, we actually took the back seat out and we put our Williams electors in the back of the airplane and flew to Buckeye, Arizona. We could pull right up to the flight circle back then. We fly and stuff, then we put our planes in the plane and fly home.
How much pull test do they give a 182?
Oh, not very much. We have good rudder. I had rudder trim on that airplane.
Could you imagine the size of flying lines that thing would take?
Say what?
You have to borrow hosers from the Navy.
Yeah. Oh, we flew solid lines on that.
Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord.
No, that was some real special time in my life when I had that airplane.
Yeah, I bet.
Hey, Bob, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I'm kind of winging this because I don't have the plans, and the only plans I have is just something that I see in a small, tiny picture in a.
Is that a Prowler or an RD1?
It's a Prowler.
Okay, I got Prowler plans if you need them.
Oh, okay. The question is, is there a fin underneath here?
Yes, there's a little ventral in there. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep. I thought so. Yeah. Okay.
5 inches long, 4 or 5 inches long.
And I think if I've seen correctly, this is not a full size. You have to put some cap strips on the end.
Yes, the ends. You put a pieces that go chordwise. Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
the story of how that airplane came about is funny. I think I told it on here once before. Steve Busso told me that there was this guy named Scott Smith who wanted to start a model airplane company, and he said he wants to come down and meet you. I said, well, bring him on down, And at the time, we were building the RD1, Robbie's RD1. We had the fuselage on a pegboard in my shop, all done with the fin and rudder and everything on, all mocked up. And Scott Smith walks through the door, and he has his hand out to shake hands with me. And just before he shook hands with me, he turned and looked at the wall, and he says, I'm going to kit that. And I said, well, it's nice to meet you too. And we became really close friends. But I told him, look, instead of kitting the constant chord version or the straight wing version, let's make a tapered wing version. It'll have more, aesthetic appeal. And I think we can make a really good flying airplane. So that's how the Prowler came about. It was actually an RD1 watch.
Yeah. Hey, check this out, Bob.
Okay. Good. Can you get me
These
the
are the
Coke out of the
wings.
fridge in the kitchen?
Wow.
And I put a strip of carbon fiber underneath the sheeting.
Otherwise, they'll explode. Because there's no stressed skin to speak of. You know, those wings break real easy. Once you put something underneath the sheet, the leading edge to support the wing.
Yeah, I have a strip of carbon fiber underneath it.
Yeah.
It's it's something like this. I think I have something in here. Anyways, that thing is strong.
Yeah.
Let's put it like that. Yeah.
I've seen a number of them that didn't have any kind of support under that. That had the cap stripped over the phone like that. Just later, I've seen them.
Yeah. And another thing I've done is.
Don't ask me how I know.
That's why Bob don't have many IC motors.
So you see that, Bob?
Yeah.
I also laminated this with carbon fiber. So this is gonna tie in on the carbon fiber underneath the leading edge. So it's kind of carbon to carbon kind of thing.
That'll work.
And it's gonna be epoxied in place anyway. So I'm gonna have a nice strong transition on center. And
see you going to such a sophisticated airplane after what you've been flying, you know?
Yeah, I know. You know, actually, Bob, the story of this is that I want to make a test bed for the new timer I'm developing.
This guy's got probably the most involved, engineered, modern airplane in the world, and he's building a prowler now.
We kind of went through that a few weeks ago, Bob. Several of us said, "Huh?"
Yeah.
No, Bob, I'm making a timer, so I want to have a test bed for it.
Okay.
And then it's gonna be my boys plane. It's gonna most likely become my boys plane or my profile plane to fly profile at some contest or something like that, just for the fun of it.
I was just busting your chops.
I know.
It's an East Coast thing.
Yeah. By the way, Richard Oliver flew the plane in Louisiana, and he made me some nice compliments over there.
Yeah, I talked to him about it, and to Frank McMillan, what comments he made to Frank, he was very impressed.
Yeah,
very impressed with it.
Yeah, after that he looked at me. He said that I should have this in 2018 at the Worlds.
Yeah.
That was the comment that I got from him. I was like, holy smokes. Yeah, he said this plane lacks nothing.
Yeah, that's kind of the word I got, from him.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm not going to be able to stay on long tonight. I got a whole bunch of people coming tomorrow to build in the shop, and I got a guy that's coming. I'm building 3 brush fires, big RC pattern brush fires for these guys, and we're coming up tomorrow to discuss the project. And tomorrow's my wife's birthday, so I got to get started.
Oh, happy birthday!
Yeah, you're gonna be in a doghouse building planes tomorrow.
Yeah, right.
He's at work, and I'll be at work.
Thank you for coming in, Bob.
Good to see you, Bob.
Guys, good to see you, Martin. Let's keep in touch, man.
Yeah, we should.
Hey, Bob.
Take care, Bob.
Okay,
Good to see you again.
Bob. Good night.
Lordy goodness.
Hey, Mike and Lynn, how you guys doing? And Phil, hi.
Doing great. How
We're
are you?
hanging in. How you doing?
Hey, Mike.
Charles?
Oh,
Mike, it's good, good to see your kid whipped your butt.
He did. I got a little contest report from El Dorado if anyone is interested. Let's hear it.
Let me make it
Let's
big,
hear
Mike. All right.
What event did he hurt you in, combat or stunt?
Let me just show you the stunt. It was all stunt. We flew combat planes there just for fun, but you can't fly matches there because it's right next to a power transfer station. So they don't want to fly you up.
They frown on that.
Here's Sam's plaques.
Wow.
And here's mine. Do you notice a difference? Sam's are a lot bigger than mine.
There's no difference over there.
That's cool.
Yeah, Sam got first place in profile intermediate and first place in Pampa intermediate. I took second in profile and third in Pampa. And Pampa advanced came down to 5 points between first place and me. And the guy ahead of me was 1.5 points ahead, but they used appearance points, so the appearance judging bit me in the ass again. If I'd had a BOM model instead of an ARF, I probably would have been on top.
So you all flew that. That's good. Well done, Mike.
You did good, Mike.
Well done.
How did
you can't
how
win
did
if you don't play? You
How'd your
can't
boy
win if
like
you
the
don't play.
Pathfinder?
Go ahead.
Say, how did your boy like the Pathfinder? How'd it fly for him?
Oh, he likes it real good. I mean, it's an older model that Dale Berry gave to him, but he's flying it well.
He's not flying the
flying
Cardinal
it
any
really
longer?
well. We actually have another new one in the box that Brent Rogelio gave him, another ARF. But yeah, he's flying it well. We talked while we were there because Dan Berry was there. Actually, he's one that beat me in advance, and he's flying a Tom Dix build profile, and I have 2 of those kits. So we're gonna build both of those for Sam this winter. He's gonna help in the construction so that those will be his profile BOM models. I think that'll be a next good choice. I think we need to get away from the ARFs a little bit because even though they fly, if we build something, it's going to fly much better, I think.
Be a lot lighter. Probably be lighter.
Yeah.
They're
mine
always
are
turn
made
out
off
to be.
iron.
I think you might have some materials to use now, right?
I think he's got enough wood. Yeah.
Nah, yeah, slight chances.
Oh yeah. So
I think he's got enough wood.
I got something else that was pretty exciting that happened there, and I'm going to share my screen if that's okay, Charles.
Yeah, go ahead, man. You're nice and big.
Oh, wrong one. Well, anyway, these are just some pictures of Sam putting in work during intermediate. He looks like a pro out there, man.
Oh,
He
I
looks
saw
really
those,
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So let me get to. Is
I picked those
that one
up on
showing?
Facebook.
No, everybody shows.
Okay. Let me get to the next one here. See if I can pick the right one. I got a few things that were interesting. Okay, so there was a lot of free flight stuff going on. Mike, Mike Make, who lives down there in El Dorado.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, this is a Sky Bunny free flight. Bill Call, you'll get a kick out of this. This is run on a capacitor motor. You got a whole bunch of these little electric drone motors. With
I know this is a control,
capacitors.
but we're doing rubber free flight and other kinds of free flight right now. So this is a Sky Bunny, which is typically rubber, but it's got a geared capacitor motor on it. All right, let's see what happens. Yeah, send it.
Wow. See this?
Oh, that's trimmed out
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, that's
Look
what
at
mine
that
looked like,
thing.
except you just kept going.
I'm going to walk with it here so we can. What's the runtime? Oh, that's the limit of it slamming right there. It runs for 35 or 40 seconds, but it'll be on the ground. It kind of pees out.
Yeah, that's what I thought, and it just kept going up and up and up.
Right through the sun.
Hey,
For
Tryon,
landing, almost it looks like.
you mind muting your mic, Tryon, please? Thank you.
So
Look at that.
he said he lost one of
I
these
can
last
honestly
week.
say that's the coolest thing that I've seen today. Stick and tissue Sky Bunny rubber plane converted for capacitor flight. Very cool.
Very cool.
Yeah, he said he actually lost one out there last week. It flew out of sight and went over the trees, and it was gone. Then the other thing we were doing a lot of was catapult hand launch gliders.
Wow.
We were doing tons of these, the rubber shooters. And these are a couple that Jason Greer and Terry Tucker gave to Sam. We're going to build a bunch of these because these were just so much fun too. You know, on the catapult with the rubber band, and they were going probably 100 feet in the air and just circling and circling and just really a lot of fun.
You ought to see
trying to get something a little different for a while. It's just a kick in the pants.
You ought to see trying discus launch sailplane. That's a hoot too.
So Mike, did I see your son flew the jet down there?
That's what I'm trying to pull up right now. I'm gonna.
You let him fly the jet.
I'm hoping I get. There we go. Already got that.
Good gracious.
Here we go. I'm going to start it. It's a video, so here we go. It's only a minute long.
Wow.
That was the slow jet, right?
This is the slow one.
It still probably pulls as hard as any Tiger 60 plane you're going to find. I'm just surprised Sam can hold that.
Yeah, tell that boy.
Well, you'd be surprised what young men can do. They're
yeah.
They love this kind of stuff, and they'll do anything.
Well, the last one of those I flew was 30 years ago, and it was on monoline. You had to within a half a lap get it in this yoke, get your hand in the yoke, or you just didn't get it in there.
Yeah.
And I flew it 3 times, and when the day was over, they said, "Well, you want the job flying the plane?" And no, sir. No, sir. That plane's faster than I could think. I was just trying to turn around in circles and stay on my feet.
I flew one of
that was
jets years ago, and that was kicks.
Yeah, it's a lot
Not
of kicks.
hard.
I kicked myself for trying it.
That was light on that jet, and I had to help him. I helped him take off again. That's why you don't see him taking off. But the next flight after that, I was outside the circle, and he got it off the ground by himself and did a complete solo.
Good for him. That's cool.
I
Hello.
got a nasty. I got a
He was
nasty
able to
feeling.
out and out or anything. So
I got a nasty feeling next year Sam's going to be kicking yours and mine butts. We're going to have to watch it. We're going to have to watch that kid.
Yeah, kids do that. How old is he?
Sam is
11.
12.
He's 12 now.
good for
He's still
him.
11. Oh.
Good.
Incredible. That's awesome.
He's 12. And I got one more picture to show just for funny here because a lot of y'all know Joe Gilbert.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So there's old me and Joe shared a 12-year-old bottle of Glenfiddich at the hotel. And look what I done to him. I snuck a kiss in on him.
Oh Lord.
I gotta say,
he didn't like that.
Oh God.
Yeah, he's
Joe
kind of
was a lot
whipped like his
better than
grandma. His grandma.
You gotta get to Joe's house sometime. Let him take you a ride in his chipmunk. Man, he is amazing.
that's a cover shot right
Colleen
there.
was taking the picture. Yeah. But yeah, we had a really good weekend. I was amazed at the amount of that Mike Makepeace guy. I'd never heard of him before, but the field is actually named after his father. It's Mike Makepeace Field in El Dorado. And his father was a modeler for years and years and years. And Mike's no spring chicken. If I had to guess, he's in his late 60s, early 70s. And he only lives a mile away. He took us over to his shop, and he's got a 60 by 120 pole barn. Boy, I thought I had airplanes. This guy's got – it was the biggest private collection of model airplanes that I had ever seen.
Wow.
And it covered everything. RC, free flight, rubber, hand launch gliders, rocketry, early RC boats, RC cars. I mean, and control line. The guy just had everything in the world that you could imagine. Hobby Emporium, yeah. And is Bill Cole still on here? Bill, are you still here, or did he get booted out?
I don't think he could get on tonight. I saw him trying to get on, but I don't think he's on.
Mike gave the Sky Bunny kit. This is the one that he was flying with the capacitor motor, but it's actually just a rubber free flight kit.
Oh yeah.
And apparently they had a postal contest with these here not long ago. I'm gonna start looking into these free flight groups and see what they do, because we like building postal contests. You just go out to your own field and you're honest and you time your flights and you turn them in, kind of thing. That's how those work. Yeah, I guess that's about it, really. Good contest, good weather, good guys, pretty decent turnout. And we'll be putting that on our list for May every year now too, because they run a contest in May, and it's typically the same weekend as the Huntersville contest, first weekend in May. And since it's a spring contest, it's a fun fly now. We're going to swap out for El Dorado. We're going to start going there. So, especially since we can fly the jet there. I mean, they were all about it. It wasn't an issue. It wasn't a problem. They loved it. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Had 5 new guys fly the jet. The one I got from you. 5 new pilots.
Wow.
Mike Greb flew it. Jason Greer flew it. Mike Makepeace flew it. Dan Barry flew it. And John Blanchard flew it. 5 soloed, took off by themselves, and got it off the ground on the first flight.
That's
Every
cool.
one of them.
Still want to see a wing over with it.
Oh no.
You had to see Van Jock.
Yeah, you gotta watch Van Jock
do that.
I tell you what, if you guys ever get a chance to
just
see
one
Van
more
Jock
thing and I'll
fly that
shut up.
thing at night, you will never forget it. He flew his pulse jet stunner.
Len, did you get my message on
right at dark, and it was incredible.
I've seen that.
Yep.
Len, did you get my private message on
I did
Stunthangar?
not. I'll have to check it out.
Okay, just check it out, and I gave you my phone number.
Okay.
Give me a call sometime. Some very interesting stuff to share.
You're breaking up. I can't hear you. I'm going to have to change providers here. Hang on.
He's breaking up here too.
No, it's not you,
I'm
Lynn.
breaking up.
Not you, Len.
Not you, Lynn. Mike.
Who's breaking up? Oh, is Mike breaking up? Okay.
Yeah, Mike's breaking up bad.
Yeah. It's that way for all of
it's
us.
me? Shit.
Yeah,
All right.
it's you,
I'll
Mike.
Yeah. I don't think Denny's mic is on. He hasn't said a word.
That's talking at everything out of my mind. He's out. What can I say? You guys are enjoying it.
Oh,
So
We still have to buy Denny a new microphone.
Yeah, that should be. We should have Christmas.
still got intro, huh? Oh. Well, Denny's gonna hope. See, all right.
Danny, if you can hear me, let me ask you a question. The conversion kit for the Legacy 40, is it a front mount engine or a rear mount engine?
I'm sorry. No, I didn't hear that.
The Legacy 40, your electric conversion, is it a front mount or a rear mount?
Either.
Either?
Yeah, but both are in the conversion.
Okay.
you guys, I'll be right back. Gotta take the dog out.
Okay. Hurry back. Don't
the
put.
dog
I want to put a front. I want to put a front mount engine in it because the rear mount seems to be having some problem on the hard turns. I don't know what it is. It's the engine has quit. Either maybe I need to leave more gap in the spinner or something. But it seems like it's acting like it's getting a prop strike or something on a really hard turn, and the motor will quit. And I said, I don't think I want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
So try something different. But it's one of those RCM. RX, I forgot what the name of the timer is, but it's giving some interesting problems. Never had it. Steve said his daughter. He said his daughter Samantha had a problem with the thing quitting on a hard turn, and I thought, well, it's because she had a rear mount motor on it. Well, it'll do the same thing on a front mount. So I don't know. I tried it today with a front mount, and that didn't work either. So I think I'm going back to a Cuban timer or something I understand, or I've got one of those Brazilian ones. I might try it next. But we'll get there. We'll get there. The journey is half the fun.
Well, that's it. It's not that hard to do or anything like that. Usually front mounts are stiffer, the motor stiffer and stuff like that. Rear mounts, especially if you get larger, longer motors, bigger props and stuff. I've never actually had one fail that way, but I think it's something fake doing it. The thing I like about front mounts is that you can swap any number of different motors pretty easily, usually.
Yeah.
So,
Is the current setting adjustable for the cutout?
Is which pattern adjustable?
Is the current setting adjustable for the cutout on the timer?
Oh, you can adjust the gain. I'm gonna turn the gain down. I've got it up to 7. I'm gonna turn it down to 4 and try again tomorrow. I'm hoping it's gonna do it.
So did you like it, Phil, or not?
If it don't do better tomorrow, I'll put the Fiore in it. It was scary. It was scary. It scared the crap out of me, and I don't get scared easy. I mean, I said, well, I know it's liable to quit, so I'm gonna do this ready to level out pretty quick. And I came around and hit it, and I couldn't believe how hard that plane will turn. That plane turns a lot harder than my Nobler does. In case y'all are wondering, it's a Vector with a 2820 Cobra. It's a 2826 Cobra motor in it on 4 cells with just a cheap ESC and a KR timer. But I had the gain up to 7. I'm gonna turn it down to 4 tomorrow and try that and see what happens. But it
What
scared
kind
the heck out of me.
timer do you have from Fiorodi?
It's white. That's all I know. I've got that in the programmer. I can go get it and show it to you, but I'll have to run downstairs to grab it. But it's
like a 1 piece or 2 pieces that come together.
1 piece. 1 piece.
1 piece. So it's the standard one then.
Yeah, I didn't even know there was a 2 piece.
2 pieces if it's active accelerometer. It's the one that you put remotely somewhere else.
Oh heck, that's the one I wanted. Okay, so it's supposed to got 2 piece. Oh well, I'll try again. The guy that has took over Tom's control systems is he sells them now. I've forgotten what he calls his business.
Okay, there you go. I think.
Some days I can remember all this stuff, and other days I'm lucky to remember y'all's names. It's ridiculous.
I don't remember your name, so don't feel bad about it.
Yeah, CRS is real. Let me tell you. But anyway, I don't know. I'm going to try it again tomorrow and see what happens. But I also had a problem with my lines tonight. I got out there and the lines, they had so many kinks in it. I said, I'm going to try it, but I'm just going to try it easy. 2-minute runs. I didn't even do anything hard. But if you take off and go 1 lap and haul up and the thing tries to quit, acts like a prop strike, something's not right. So, and I know the timer's not moving because it's fixed to the ESC is Velcroed to the bottom of the fuselage inside, and the timer's on top. Timer's on top of that. Yeah.
Do you own a remote control system?
I do, but nothing that's running right now. I gave everything to work to my grandson. He's really into RC.
Okay. If you had a remote control system, you can put a receiver on your plane and see if it does it with a receiver. That way you eliminate the timer issue, right? If it does it with the receiver, then you know it's not the timer.
I'll give him a call tonight. Well, in the morning. It'll be too late tonight. But I'll give him a call tomorrow, see if I can't borrow one. I've got transmitters downstairs. I just have no receivers.
Oh, that's all you need. Just a receiver. You just put the receiver on it and just use the receiver and the transmitter.
That's what I don't have. I don't have a receiver. I have a transmitter, but I don't have any receivers. Everything I had that was flying, I gave him because he was really into it, and he's got hand-eye coordination like crazy on video games and that sort of stuff, and I don't. I can't begin to keep up with him on video games, not even begin to. But that is starting to really look good, Pete. But anyway, I gave him all that stuff so he can have some fun with it because I hate for it just sitting downstairs gathering dust. And I love to build. I'm more a builder than a flyer on the RC stuff anyway.
Oh, you got the Oki timer is a 6.4, so that's the newest one.
624?
6.4 version.
6.4.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll see about ordering one tomorrow.
That should be the newest.
Mine's about a year old. Year and a half old now.
Yeah, that should be the newest one.
Okay. I'll try to order one tomorrow. I don't know. I'm trying to learn
Steve,
this stuff.
you still sucking on that jungle juice bottle?
Yeah. It's half and half vodka. And
yeah, I hear you. I hear you. You wouldn't be able to stand up this long.
I thought you were going to say half and half castor, half nitro, or half castor, half cloth.
Well, that's where I came up with my 50-50 blend from. Was
50-50, half castor, half clots.
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
You give me a clots, all right.
You know, I figured out why modelers live so long as they do. It's because we you know, as kids they always wanted to give us castor oil. Well, we're out there in all that castor oil all the time, so it must be good for us.
Yeah. I'm going to try sharing the screen. I want to see if I can share the screen of the stunt judging from the weekend. I just want to see if I can do it more than anything. So I'll click on the share button and then see if I can find the application window. And here it is.
Can you see where I mounted mine at there, Phil?
Yes, sir.
That's and then it misses, the battery misses it going in.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it hits. And the other thing is that you could eliminate the switch if you wanted.
Anybody see it?
Yeah,
a lot of people.
Wow, yes, judges. 7 judges.
Yeah, we got it, Gerald. We got it, Gerald.
Yeah, that was the
Yeah, what are they
just
on?
for the
I'll look at
judge
the
training.
front.
Good grief.
Cool.
Steve, that looked good, man. You got yours set up right. But
You
man,
know,
that's some judging there.
If you have that the plug there, the arming plug, you don't need to switch.
Well, how do you do away with the switch though? I mean, I wanted to put a push button on it, but if you do, it flames out as soon as you let go of the switch.
Just loop it with a piece of what, you know, take the two
I can
wires
do
that
that.
come off and tie them together. And then when you plug it in, plug the arming switch in, it's automatically on.
Yeah, that makes sense. That
So
would save,
I did it that way,
hassle.
you know, I did it that way. And after I got done, I thought about it and it's like, that's really only for places where you don't have an arming switch.
Yeah. And since we have an arming switch,
yeah,
you can do it all with one thing.
You know, when you're ready to go, you plug it in and it's just like flipping the button on.
Yeah, I wish I'd thought about that before I drilled a hole in the side of the airplane to put that stupid switch in.
Oh.
I put it on one of those push buttons like we used on sailplanes. You know, push it in, it's on, pull it out, it's off.
Oh,
and
okay.
But when I land, I don't even mess with it until I get ready to arm it again, and then I'll pull it out and put the pin in. When I get ready to go, push it in, and away you go. But
yeah, the only thing with that is that you put the battery in and kind of make sure it's not going to interfere with you getting your battery in and out. That's why mine are tucked so far forward. I mean, it was a pain to get them way up in there and get them mounted and stuff. And but I had to find a place to where the battery missed, because where I wanted them, it would have hit. But, you know, Samantha's other plane, 60 size, the fuselage is wider, and it clears. You know, everything clears.
Yeah. I think I'm kind of looking forward to getting the bigger plane going, because the bigger planes seem to have more room, even for a 6-cell battery. You have room to do it, but these 4-cell systems are about to drive me crazy. I'm getting there though.
Yeah, one thing about it is, though, once you get it done, you pretty much you don't even have to hold them in there. By the time you move stuff and get the wires just right and all that, snap in there, the battery couldn't come out if it wanted to.
I tell you what, you ain't kidding. I got that thing. I was trying to put the ESC and the timer in the bottom of that plane, and you said it was a pain. Brother, you weren't kidding a bit. That was a royal pain. I did finally figure out after about 20 minutes of fighting it, I'd put a piece of Velcro on the bottom of the fuselage, and I'd put Velcro on the bottom of the ESC. So when you slide it in, they're going to stick together. Well, how do you slide it in like that? You take a piece of paper and stick in there, put your ESC in, and then when you get it right where you want it, pull the paper out. But you better have it where you want it, because you ain't moving it no more. Boy, what a pain.
Smart, though.
Well, it worked, but I tell you what.
I don't think my ESC is even held in with anything, but the wires come out of one end and out of the other end.
I like everything tied down. I don't anything vibrating tends to chafe. I learned a few things playing with airplanes and real ones, and I don't like wires chafing. That's anything that can vibrate can cause a problem.
Well, with mine, I had to take and move it back and run the wires, hook the wires up to it, then slide everything forward and get the wires from the back of it up to hook into the battery and everything. But once I did that, I had to force the ESC kind of sideways. And if you try to move it in there, you got to have, I had little skew sticks I cut, and I was moving, and I was hard to move it. So it's kind of wedged in mine. But
yeah, mine's wedged in there pretty good, especially once the timer's on top of it. And I got it all fixed just like I wanted it. And then I figured, wait a minute, to change the timing on this thing, you got to see how many times that LED flashes. And I had it too far forward where I couldn't see it. So then I had to redo all that. Oh, man. But I finally got it figured out and got it working. And it works well now, but except for this little problem. And I think after coming home and reading everything and rereading everything, if you have this problem, turn the gain down. So I went from 7 to 4, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. The neatest thing about electric,
my biggest worry for you guys is that since you have so little space to put your AC and fit it in there, how much cooling do you get? How much air cooling do you get over it?
That's the thing, Trey, and I've got it to where I won't take it out and fly it unless I'm sure I got at least whatever size the hole is in there, unless 40% of it's open. I won't fool with it. And I got to have more room coming out than, well, just like any stunner, you got to have more room coming out than you had going in for the air. But you
must make sure that you have air going around it.
Oh, it is.
Because if it's stuck in there, the air cannot travel over there. The air is going to take the easiest path it can take.
Yeah.
If you have big holes around it, that's where the air is going to go.
I can touch mine with my finger when I got it down, and it's fine.
Yeah.
But
I put my finger on the motor, and it wasn't hot. I put my finger on the ESC, and it was just cool. So
yeah. Well, the other thing I do, this one in mine is a 60 amp ESC, way too big. but it's the one I had. So that's what went in it. And the other thing I always do with all my ESCs is I cut the rubber off of the top of the heat sink.
Yeah.
Because why would you ever want to insulate a heat sink?
That's what I could never figure out. Why in the heck would you do that?
Right. So I cut mine right to the edge and then glue it. So it can't peel off, but then that metal is right to the air.
Yeah.
I guess my favorite ones are the ESCs that have the finned heat sinks.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All under the shrink wrap.
Yeah.
It's like, the clue meter's reading 0 on that.
Yeah. Really. I can't.
So you go in and open those up, and my God, they get frost on them. But as it should be. But cooling the ESC is definitely the hardest part of the installation for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, motors
Well,
are
I'll make
easy.
sure-
I don't worry too much about batteries, but the ESC cooling is just something that, man, you just got to pay attention.
Well, you got to remember that Dennis designed this thing, and he has a lot better eyesight than us. He can look down there and see
Yeah, I know.
where that wire goes, and better dexterity or something.
I don't know. He gained a lot of whatever from his father. He's just naturally really good at this stuff.
Mm.
Once you get it all in, though, it's great. I mean,
Well, the good thing is you don't have to pull it routinely or anything like that. You get it installed.
Thank
and
goodness.
Yeah.
I would hate to have to go through that on a regular basis. I mean, that would be enough
Yeah.
to make you think about going back to ICs. I mean,
No.
it's
Never.
I don't
Absolutely
know.
never.
I don't. If I had to pull that thing every time I go flying, Dennis, I'd have to think hard about it. That was the
Yeah.
biggest pain. I mean, trying to get a motor, a manifold, a tune pipe, and all in the bottom of the impact every time you go somewhere and take it out of the box and go to put it together. That's pain enough. But having to change that ESC, oh no. I had to come up with a pair of forceps and reach in there because I put mine together. I got it all put together and put the battery in. It was going to just test everything one time. Batteries hanging off the side of the fuselage, and everything's just going to test it and make sure everything turns in the right direction, which it's going to. No, it didn't. I had to go up in there and unplug 2 of those wires and switch them.
Ain't that a bitch?
I had to have a pair of forceps that go in about 3 inches and then turn 45 degrees up to be able to get it, and then use another one to use the other wire and plug it in. Because you're looking in a hole about that big, and that's all you got to work with.
I tell you what,
it's
the
pistol.
second one I did, I was smart enough to test it outside and then mark them.
Well, I wasn't.
I only had to do it one time because I did that. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me! I gotta pull this whole thing out and move 2 wires.
The bad thing is, I did that on the other 2 airplanes, and both of them, you just take the cowl off and you can get to everything.
Yeah.
I didn't do it to this one, and this bloody thing, you got to go through a hole. So, just stupid. Just make stupid mistakes once in a while.
It's like building a ship in a bottle.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Tried that one time too.
All right. Guys, I'm bailing out on you. So,
All right,
Dennis,
me too.
I'll try not to
take
be
care of yourself.
I'll try to darken your doorways a little more often again.
Right.
But,
All right, good to see you, Dennis.
Whatever. Good to see you guys.
Good to see you, Dennis.
All right.
Dennis,
Awesome.
take
See you,
care, buddy.
Denny.
Good night, everybody.
Take
Good
care,
night.
everybody. Good night.
Yeah, my medicine's kicking in. I'm out too.
All right.
All right. You
I'll
take care
see
of
y'all.
yourself.
What is today? Monday. I'll see y'all Friday.
All right.
Yes,
All right,
sir.
kid.
Yeah,
Thank you.
right.
Take care.
Yeah, I'm glad I don't have any of those problems with wiring or anything like that. I have such easy access to everything in mine. Not even funny.
Yeah,
Now,
we
he
go-
opened
that
he
makes
opened this up and you can see everything right there. It is cool.
Well, that's like, but on the 60 size Vector, that it's kind of like the Vector. That it's the same way. I got a hatch. I can pull everything off, put it back on, and I can move stuff if I want stuff a little further forward, a little further back on the ESC to move weight. But it's a lot bigger airplane. When you try to tuck all that stuff in a 40 size,
Yeah, it's a pistol. I thought about building I have an SV-23 wing downstairs, and I've been thinking about building a plane called a Challenger anyway, just restyling it as a Challenger. And I thought about making it electric. And I said, well, I'd have room to work. It's just the question is, can I get motors and ESCs and timers and everything that will, I don't want to do this and have the problems I had with my Nobler or with the Vector so far. But if I got room to do it and I got powerful systems enough, but then Trey and start talking about these Joker motors, they say they're going to start shipping those again in December. I think they're out of stock on them, but they say they're going to be shipping them again in December. And I have been all but promised that they would be shipping them no later than January 1. So I'm hoping to get a couple of the 500s, a couple of the 510s and one 500, because I have a Super Sportster downstairs that needs a 60, needs a strong motor in it. It is a big airplane and got the front end of that thing's like this. So that's a lot of air to catch. Half of that's going to be blocked off because there's no reason to catch that much air. But
yeah, you should be fine with that. Shouldn't be an issue at all.
The specs I read on that 500, that sucker will throw a 15-inch propeller. Holy smoke!
Good heavens!
Yeah, I'm using only a 12 on it.
Wow.
It's not even breaking a sweat, man. I tell you, I swear to God.
I tell you what, a guy flew his airplane.
Like a Rojet 90.
A guy flew Tran's airplane at Atlanta, and he landed the thing. I went walking over to it, and I stuck my finger up in it. I touched the motor. I wanted to find out. I said, I may get burnt, but I don't think it'll be that bad. I stuck my finger in there, and that sucker's cold. I said, what the heck? That's crazy, but that's an amazing motor. It's Jokers or something else. I tell you
it's because the motor is so much oversized. It puts no effort. The motor is rated for 1,150 watts. Okay, that's 750 watts. It's 1 horsepower, right?
Yeah.
So this is well over a horsepower worth of motor, quite a bit over, and has no problems. It's doing it with so much ease that if you do some number crunching, my average amp draw per flight, it's about 15 amps.
Oh, good grief!
I could use a 25 amp ESC and still be fine with it.
Wow, that's neat.
Wow.
Well, the second time I grabbed it, I got smart and grabbed the spinner. It wasn't hot either. So his motor is really, there's no way he's going to burn anything up. His stuff works. But that's amazing.
Yeah, that's one thing I keep telling people. They don't understand this thing. As I said, if you use too small of a motor, you are wasting. First, you're putting that motor in danger because it's going to burn out, because it barely has enough power to drive the prop to whatever you are asking of it, and then not only that, the ESC has to work hard to put the amps into it, pump the amps in, and then the battery gets hot because the battery has a hard time just releasing all of the juice into the motor.
That fast,
small motor, and because of all of that stuff, what I just said, those two issues. Number one, the ESC has to be bigger, more weight. Two, the battery has to be bigger again to be able to just put out the juice, Plus, he needs to provide the extra energy for the lost heat in the system.
Mm-hmm.
So the biggest mistake you can do in an electric setup is go with a small motor. You're just killing everything down the line and it make everything hard. Everything runs hot, and you wonder, well, I don't have enough runtime on the motor. The battery's too small. Well, duh.
Yeah, because the motor's too small.
Yeah. Almost always, if you have an electric system, and if somebody's complaining about the battery not being on the edge, I'll probably tell them, hey, go to the next size bigger motor, and you're gonna have all those problems are gone.
Yeah. The only thing that I cannot understand about electric, and I still cannot figure it out, cannot understand it. You've got a motor, and if you'll look at the motor, and you look at the specs on that motor, and then you pull up the chart that shows the propeller to use on that motor. All right. With 14.8 volts, you can throw a 12.
Mm-hmm.
You put a 5 cell in it, you can throw an 11. And you put 6 cells on it, you want to throw a 10-inch prop. It's going to be running faster and faster. The RPM goes up, the current goes up, everything goes up. But,
yeah, as the RPMs go up, diameter goes down. On those
but I'd rather put more power in it. I'd rather have the bigger, be able to throw a bigger prop with more power, but that's not the way it works.
That's the KV. That's where the KV comes in place, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So if you think typically our stunners, I don't think electric will never run more than 9,500 RPM.
No, you couldn't keep up with it.
I seriously doubt it, because you want to run a big prop with a big pitch on it to be efficient, right?
Mm-hmm.
But even a 12.6 seems to be just right. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm running right now.
That's what I'm running on this one.
Yeah, and if you look at about 10,000 RPM and on 6 cell, your KV needs to be in the 500s, low 500s. Just simple math. You take the voltage of the battery, you divide the 10,000 RPM that you want to have, plus some, including some headroom, some 10,000 that includes the headroom.
Mm-hmm.
Then you divide it by the voltage of the battery, which is 22 point something.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you're doing. So it's simple, 10,000. What is that? 22.2.
I think it is. Yes.
22.2 on a 6S. There you go. 450 kV.
Yeah.
And as the kV goes lower, the more is more efficient too. The better the kV match to your battery size, the better off you are, because that's optimizing it. Now, if you have a 6S battery and you have a 900 kV motor, it's a waste.
Yeah.
Because the motor, it's not as if you have the same exact motor with diameter and everything inside of it, but a lower kV is going to be a much better.
Yeah.
It's going to work much better.
What does that motor you have in yours weigh? Tryon?
200 grams, 210 or something like that. Yes, my motor weighs. Yeah, this is a plain example. Say you go with the Igor system, right? And you go with the Axie, and you go with a 66 amp BSC and a 2800 6S Thunder Power, right? And you weigh all of this stuff, right? If I was using my motor with an optimized battery and stuff like that, I'll probably have my motor, which is 25 grams heavier. But now the ESC, I can use a 33 amp ESC, which is you save already over there about 30 grams right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I already saved what I lost, right? But the battery can be much smaller now. I can get away with a 2200 6S battery. So you see, the ESC gets smaller, the battery gets smaller, and you're still not stressing the system just by oversizing the motor, and everything is happy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's pretty neat.
Like
pretty neat.
Yeah, I've got something here I want to share. This is for Phil and for Peter, if you don't mind.
You go ahead.
Let me know when it comes up.
It's up.
It's up.
That's pretty Pathfinder.
It's Pathfinder.
That's at Brodak, yeah.
Yeah, that's at Brodak.
Yeah, I remember that. That was a pretty airplane. John,
I just saw you. Go ahead.
That paint, your paint on that thing is. Can I take nitrate dope and bring it up, cover it, and bring it up to 4 coats of nitrate, and then put, I'm drawing a blank. That rattle can paint on it, Rust-Oleum.
Well, it's not rattle can. It's not rattle can. It's Rust-Oleum Painter's Touch. It comes in pint and quart cans, and you run it through your Yeah. Is it painter's it's either painter's touch or painter's pride, but it's Rust-Oleum, and it comes in half pint, pints, and quarts, I think.
Okay.
And you just mix it, thins with water. So I sprayed it through a regular gun, and I did the trim colors with oh, come on, that is a rattle can. The trim colors are geez, it's an acrylic enamel, acrylic lacquer.
Okay, acrylic enamel lacquer.
Yeah, the yellow, the Rust-Oleum is the yellow.
Yeah,
and that's acrylic enamel.
Okay.
And the trim colors are acrylic lacquer. And that interesting. Now I don't know about. I didn't use nitrate on this. I used butyrate, and it went over butyrate just fine. So I think it might do just the same thing with nitrate, but I tested on a piece.
Yeah.
And the trim colors, I think the black there was dope, and the rest of the trim colors were this acrylic lacquer, and they went on there just fine. And
what'd you put over for clear?
Butyrate dope, clear butyrate.
Good gracious. Well, if I tried mixing that much stuff up, I'd have stuff looking like orange peel everywhere, but yours look beautiful.
I agree.
It all works. You know, you mean I didn't paint it and expect to go 5 hours later and put a coat of, start the trim on it.
No.
But I did let it sit, I think, for a day or two just to make sure. The acrylic lacquer dries really fast. You can actually go quite fast with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that stuff. That's what we used to paint cars with. And as soon as you got through painting it, time you cleaned the gun, you could just about start sanding.
Yeah.
That is really pretty, though. I don't know where you came up with that paint scheme, but that is really striking. That's nice.
Color wheel, my friend. A color wheel.
Well, it sure looks good.
Yep.
It
Thank
really
you.
looks good.
Well,
you still have that one?
Yeah.
Good deal.
Yeah, I've got it. Anyway, so that was for you. You wanted it's for inspiration.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to get this thing to give me a picture of it. I got it, by George. Here we go. I got the picture of it, so I can hang on to that. That's neat. That's a pretty airplane. Oh, look at that. The twin. That's not the one you had in the magazine.
No, that's one that Dennis did. He started with an ARF, and he converted it to an electric twin, ARF electric twin, and it came out really nice.
That is nice. That is.
Denny did that. Yeah,
Denny's pretty good.
Yeah, he is.
You remember the guy? Were you at Brodak the year the guy showed up? I don't know. I can't remember his name right now. I'm terrible with names today. But the guy showed up with a twin electric Pathfinder that had retracts on it.
Yeah, I saw that. He won its class, if I remember correctly.
That thing was neat. I mean, that was really neat. I liked that airplane. I kept wanting to get up with him and find out what motors and all did you use and what retracts and all that so I could build one, but I never did. He crashed the airplane before I could get up with him, and then he said, I don't even want to think about that airplane. It hurts.
Well, yeah, I didn't know it crashed it. That's terrible. But I saw it fly, and it flew well.
It did fly well. He said he lost it in the wind. But a bad wind. He missed the wind and tried to do a wing over or something, and the lines went slack, and he just couldn't get it straightened out before it hit.
Is that Mr. Huff?
It's a young fella, and his wife always travels with him, and she flies beginner, and he is they drive a big van, but I cannot remember the name.
Yeah, I think that's Huff.
It may be.
Here's that Pathfinder out on its first flight.
Oh, that's pretty.
That is sharp.
That's my
John, you do good work.
That is a nice.
Well, thank you. I'm putting it up there so you can catch it because you wanted some pictures of the.
Yeah.
So
there it is. That's gorgeous.
Okay.
And I think that's the last. Let's see. Oh, there we go.
That's not the same one you had. That's not the same one
Yeah,
you had at
that is at
VSC.
Brodak.
Yeah, that's
no,
at Brodak, but you had a different plane at VSC.
That was Gordon's plane.
Oh, okay. What is that?
See,
That Blue Angel. What is that Blue Angel? That's not a Blue Angel. That looks like a car. Oh shoot! Eagle, the Novi guy's plane.
It's a Gerke design, All American Eagle.
That's an Eagle. Is it electric?
No, it's got a Fokker 40 in it.
Well, look at the way he did the spinner, the way it comes in. It almost looks like one of those. Now a lot of the guys are doing this 1 3/4 spinner and a 2 1/4 inch hole, and that kind of what that looks like. I'm gonna have to look into that now. I have that plan downstairs, and that's sharp.
Well, I've got the plan. I've got the plan in CAD with the parts file, and you can also use it if you need it. I can set you up with the cut file for somebody to laser cut things. But it's real simple. You know how it's an I-beam. It's a faux I-beam.
But that's such a gorgeous airplane. I've always loved the plane, but look at that.
And in this one here, you just nose that. That's my biplane.
Do you have a better picture of it? Something shows all of it?
I do, but not on this computer. I'm still working on the biplane. I'm still working on the biplane. It's
I love biplanes.
Oh, I do too. Anyway, that's it. I'm gonna stop sharing.
All right, that Pathfinder. I got the picture. That's sharp. That is really sharp. Both of them.
Good. Yeah.
Good.
That is really pretty. I like that.
All right.
You do good work.
So, Charles wanted to see a quick and dirty on how to do some monocoat. So I figured I'd put together something quick and dirty and to get the concepts across. So I'm going to use the Pathfinder LE that I have here just to show something off. Ultimately, the Pathfinder LE, one of the things that I've done to provide a little more adjustability on the outboard wingtip, I turned around and hold on, let me swap cameras here. This is going to be easier if I do it this way. On the Pathfinder LE, on the outboard wingtip, I decided I was going to make a adjustable little trim tab for the outboard wing. So this was the quickest way to show a concept of how to monocoat on a wing or any flying surface, basically, whether it's it's an elevator or it's a flat part or the whole flap. Basically, what you do is, at least the way I do it, is I'll turn around and I will mark out my hinge locations, and then I will sand in the pockets for the hinge location so you can see how it's sanded in here. So the hinge line falls pretty much parallel to the trailing edge. And that's what I've done on this piece as well. And then what I do is I'll turn around, I'll cut a strip of monocoat about, let's say a 1/2 inch wide, give or take. And I will tack it down along the trailing edge here like this. And then what I do is, if you can see the hinges, I can see.
Yeah, we can see it. Good. Excellent.
Okay, you see what I've done to the hinges?
Yeah.
I took a scissor right by the hole and I clipped them so I can get some spikes.
Yeah.
And I bent them in so they have something to grip on the balsa when they're inserted. So I've turned around and I've basically taken a 1/2 inch strip, and I do this along the flap or an elevator and also the trailing edge, which I'll get to later. Is I just tack down a strip about a 1/2 inch of monocoat. And then what I basically do is at that point, I just insert the hinges right in through there and push them down as far as they go, just like that. And I'll turn around and I'll take the next one and I'll do the same thing. And press them all the way down as far as they can go. And I don't, everybody says, okay, well, what about gluing them in? This is the way I do it, and I'm not saying that this is the only way to do it, but once the hinges are in there, pretty much, I'll turn around and then I will take and drill a hole through the hinge, through the trailing edge, through the hinge, just like that. Just drill a couple holes, and then it's some round toothpicks. I'll turn around and I will pin the hinge through, all the way through. As you can see, it comes out. One end goes in, comes out the other end, and I'll do the other one as well at this point. Right through it. Make sure I get it through. So what I have is I have my monocoat in there. I have my hinges already inserted into the surface, and I've turned around and I've pinned them in. Then it's all of taking a saw or something else and just trimming the the toothpick, the round toothpick, flush with the surface. You can use a little bit of masking tape on the surface so you don't get out the surface. So it's basically, see, it's cut them off. Do the same thing on the other side. And I'm doing this as a quick and dirty. Normally I would take more time with doing this. So I get them off. So basically they're off. Then just grab a little bit of thin CA, drop it into the hole, and now that's all I do to secure the hinges. These hinges will not come out. They end up being very, very, you don't have to worry about epoxy in there. They're very, very free. You don't have to worry about them pretty much getting binding in there. And then at that point, essentially what it is where's it? Once the CA is kicked off, it's just take whatever sanding tool that you have, and you go in there and you make sure that the toothpick is sanded smooth with the rest of the surface. Just do a little bit of sanding on both sides to get the surface all smoothed down. And I'm really doing this quick and dirty. I'm really not taking my time to do this. Oh, Jesus, there's no sandpaper on the end of the thing. No wonder it's not working very well.
How many of us have done that?
I'm sitting there trying to figure out why it's not sanding smooth. But basically, it's turn around, sand it smooth so the toothpick and any CA that you have on there is not above the surface. Make sure it's smooth. And then what I do is to make sure I don't have any dust on the monocoat that's still on there, I'll just grab some alcohol or regular alcohol and just grab a paper towel and then just wipe the adhesive side of the monocoat down, make sure I don't have any dust, make sure that the balsa is clear. And then basically what you do is at that point, once that's done, you go back with your monocoat iron and you seal down the edge on your little strip. You just only need enough. Basically, you just only need enough to make sure that you've got a little bit of overlap on the surface. Seal that down. Turn around and seal that down. Easy enough to do. So ultimately what you have, and this is really quick and dirty, but I'm showing a concept here, not exactly necessarily a beautiful finished product at this particular moment. So what you end up having is, at this point, you have your flying surface, the hinges are installed. As you can see how easily the hinges still flop around. And you have this part of the surface done. At that point, what I'll do is I'll take my other pieces of monocoat and of course try to get them apart here now when I don't have anything to grab onto.
It's so easy in practice, but you got to show it.
Yeah. No. I'm trying to just separate the backing from the rest of it.
That's what I mean. Trying to get the monocoat part.
That's a lot of fiddling doing it this way.
Use your X-Acto knife.
That's what I.
That's a good
That's
idea.
what I was going to say. Get 2 pieces of tape and you can get it.
Yep. There you go. You just get a piece of tape and you can peel it right off.
There you go.
At that point, I just turn around and I take my other piece of monocoat and I kind of line it up to the edge. And then pretty much, boom. Like I said, this is really quick and dirty. I'm really not taking the appropriate amount of time and care to do this because I don't want to take up too much time on the chat.
No problem. Hey, Peter, I have a question for you, Peter.
Yes.
Now, normally you would try to avoid having the overlaps facing the wind, right?
Yep. And in the case right here, because you are actually monocoat over monocoat, as long as you seal that down, you're pretty good. Or you can turn around and do what I did instead of sealing the leading edge part of it down first. You can leave that hang, slip your next piece. You can slip your next piece basically underneath it. Pop that down. Pop the piece that's over here down first, and then go over with the leading edge piece. I turned around and I kind of did it quickly the other way.
Right. I understand.
So at that point, once, like I said, this is really quick and dirty and it's nasty looking, and I will probably peel this all off as I just want to get a concept across.
Right.
So I've turned around and I've pretty much got, come on.
How hot are you running your iron, Peter?
What's that?
How hot are you running your iron? Just about almost. Okay.
Almost max.
Yep. That's basically where you seal well and you don't overheat where you're melting.
Peter, just bring
What
your
kind of
camera
covering is
down.
that? Is that?
And you
Bring
just
your
go
camera down. There
over
you
the
go.
edge
We can see.
until it's like that, pretty much. Grab a number 2 blade, and then you can start trimming some of this off. And this is not a very sharp blade, but it'll I'm going the wrong way. So like doing the concept. So that's what I did on the trailing edge. You see, I've already done the same thing.
Right.
At that point, what you can do once this piece is all finished on both sides, you can turn around and insert the hinge. Let's make sure I'm doing this in the proper direction.
That's a lot of fiddling. Wow.
Now, this is your Pathfinder, right? The LE?
Yes. And I'm going to peel most of this off because this is really just to get a concept across. At that point, I take the hinges, just take the hinges, and I insert them back into the airframe. And then I would, geez, how do I do this? I would do the same thing again. Once the hinges are inserted here, I turn around, drill a hole here, put in the pin, put in the jeez, broke that. And basically replicate the process. So when it comes, yep.
Peter, do you? I noticed you got your wing mounted in the fuselage. Do you do that for a reason, or because I usually do my wing and then mount it in the fuselage?
No, what I do is I mount the I basically follow, like I said, you can see that the wing is mounted in the fuselage, and I've got two cameras here, so I have to figure out how to do this. And the stab is also already mounted. Now, what I do when it's time to cover the wing and the fuselage, what I will do, and then you can see my repairs are not done yet. This is for illustration purposes only. What I do once it's ready, I'll take a fillet material, or whether it's micro balloons or whatever, and I will turn around and I will finish that that particular scene. Then what I will do is I will wait until it's solid, until it's pretty much set up, and then for practical purposes, just for illustration purposes, once the micro balloons or whatever fillet material I want to use is all set up, and I've sanded it and I've got it to the point where I like the way it's going, I'll turn around. That's just a quick and dirty cut here. And I'll take anything about 3/4 of an inch or 1/2 an inch, and I will turn around, and on all the surfaces, I will set this into this seam right here. And I will turn around. I typically use the rounded part of the iron, and I will go in there on the rounded part of the iron, and I will pull this in. And what I do is, while I'm doing that, I will have a rag or a dampened piece of paper towel in my other hand. Once I tack it, if I can get it into the thing. Once I tack it into a corner, let's say a trailing edge here,
right?
Turn around, and while running the iron through with the one hand, and it's kind of like hold the iron, grab with your other two fingers, and kind of like pull it through. I will follow the iron with a damp rag, and I will push it right into the curve as I'm going along after the iron. And what that does is it cools the adhesive down and makes it stick into this difficult curve that you're going along.
Right.
And once you get to a certain point here, as you can see, it's trying to still go straight.
Right.
If you turn around and you have enough material to grab onto, while you're pulling it, I would have the iron in this hand. While I'm pulling it through, I'm pulling this like this, and I'm stretching it. And I'm stretching it, I'm stretching it, I'm stretching it until it follows the curve all the way around.
Wow.
If you pull and you stretch, it will follow the curve. And it'll follow the curve even better when it's heated. So when it's hot, when monocoat's hot, it'll stretch quite a bit. And then you just carefully, what you do at that point is you carefully work it until it follows the curve around to this point here. Then you cut it, and then you do the same thing on the other side.
Wow, that's amazing. I have actually cut slits to make that curve around the ship of the airfoil.
You really don't have to, as long as you give yourself a big enough piece to work with. And I'm saying it's gotten too light down at the bottom here, but let's say you've got an inch of material, and if you are pulling this while you're tacking it down, following behind it with the iron, it will stretch and fit into that curve, especially if it's not a 90-degree angle. If it's a 90-degree angle, obviously it's more difficult. But if you've got a nice flare, a nice fillet going in between the wing and the fuselage, this stuff will actually. And the thing is, this sticks as long as you don't have any dust on the airframe. But if you're using micro balloons or any type of lightweight filler or an epoxy-based filler or any other filler, for example, let me see here. Let's say like I have this, it's like Hobby Light.
Yeah.
Being one of those that type of a filler.
Right.
And after you sand it and you make sure it's clean, doesn't have any dust, monocoat will stick to it, and it'll stick to it aggressively. What the one thing you have to be careful of is when you're doing that is that when you heat, when you're putting the monocoat on with your iron and you're heating it, the filler is susceptible to dent. I mean, you can actually, as you're heating and pulling it in there, you can actually, how would I say, iron a dent into your fillet. So it is kind of like a balancing act. The beautiful thing is about monocoat, though, is if you turn around, you heat it. While you're heating it, you can actually peel it right off and try another, and absolutely try another piece. So as long as you don't let it sit there and completely cool and let it sit for like a day or two, as you're putting it on there, and you think, oh, this is not working out, you can turn around, heat it, and just peel it back a little bit and try it again, and try it again. So long as there's not too much dust or material that ends up sticking back on the adhesive side, it is quite forgiving. You can turn around. It's like, just for an example right now, I've got the end here. I can turn around. Let me just grab this for the heck of it. Let's say I'm doing the wing here, and I'm putting this on right there. I just did it on the wing. Oh, I don't like the way that's sitting. I don't like the way that's sitting right now. So I can turn around, and I can turn around, heat it, peel it back up. All right, no, maybe I want to do it that way. So I can turn around, and I can just stick it back down again. Well, no, maybe that's not so great either. So I can turn around, heat it, peel it back up. And so long as there's not so much gunk on the back side of it, as there's nothing here, I can turn around, I can put that down someplace else, or try to wiggle out some other item there. And you can do that. Oh, you can do that quite a few times and not have to worry about it.
That's really good, Peter. That's fantastic.
That's something that a lot of people don't realize. And like I said, if you watch, let me heat this. Can you see what's happening to the monocoat there where I'm pulling it up, how it's stretching?
Yeah.
And I can turn around, I can pull this, and I can stretch it as long as I'm heating it. I can stretch it, and oops, I pulled it a little too far and it broke. But you can manhandle the stuff quite a bit, and it will follow just about any curve you want to put on there. If I want to turn around and do it right now on this 90 degree, I can turn around and I can try to do this, but I've stuck this down a number of times. But right now, there we go. I've got my 90 degree in there. And like I said, if I don't like the way it comes up, I can turn around and I can heat it, and it comes right off.
Very good.
So Peter, I'm going to go. Sorry, apologies, but I've just got to run. The wife's in the background. So I'll just bid you all good night. Thanks, Peter, for your
All right,
presentation.
take care, Gerald, thanks for coming in. It's been a while. Good to see you.
Take care,
Good night,
Gerald.
Gerald.
So, Peter, I have a question. I know you wasn't meant to do this, but when you do the fuselage side, after you fill in that fillet with the monocoat,
Yep.
do you actually cut a hole in the monocoat and slide it over the wing to do the fuselage, or how do you approach the fuselage?
You have to understand. Hold on a second. With monocoat, just like, hold on. This might be easy if I do this. Hold on a second. I'm gonna swap cameras. It's once you have the corner, once you have these corners done, once the transition from the wing to the fuselage is done, then ultimately what I typically do is I will take whatever color that I'm going to use, and I'll cut a piece that is the length of the fuselage from nose to tail, and then once you have this interface done, at that point, it really all you have to do is follow the contour of the wing, and you basically cut. You can turn around and use a rib template or anything that you might have that follows the wing at the root, and then you just cut the airfoil the airfoil shape into the piece of the monocoat, and then you just put that right up. So you're just covering over. You follow the strip that you already have in there.
All right, beautiful.
And at that point, that particular edge is not facing the fuel. It's not facing away. It's basically from top to bottom. So ultimately, you have your fillet in. You have the fillet covered, and then your strip in there is you've got at least a half an inch. You have a half an inch onto the fuselage, and then you have another half an inch or more that's already on the wing. So when you're laying the next piece on the wing, basically what you're doing, I don't know if you can see this or not, but you're not going all the way to the root. You're just going as far up enough so you're covering the strip that you have laid down. You follow what I'm saying?
I do.
And then the same thing holds for the fuselage. You turn around and you're only covering as far as to make sure you're covering over that strip. And once that's done, you can turn around and do whatever you want with it. It's just with monocoat, it requires more pre-thought of how you're going to lay out your pieces. With silk span, you don't have to worry. You're not really thinking about, oh, this piece maybe should go on first, and I maybe should be doing the bottom side before the top side. What it is, it's almost like what you want to do is first you figure out your basic color scheme. What are your base colors going to be? What are the major colors going to be? At that point, you turn around and say, okay, my major colors are going to be visible on certain parts of the airframe. And hold on, if I can turn around just for a quick second to give a better example of this. I just want to unplug my monocoat iron before I melt something into something else. The best example is, let me see here for a second. Where is it? Where's the pictures? Where are you? Where are you? Come on, where? I'm not seeing. Of course, I never find this when I'm looking. Oh, there it is. Hold on a second. And I'll turn around and I'll share my camera for a second. My screen. Give you an idea. Okay. That's the example. This is an example that I can talk about where I used the exact same techniques that I was speaking of.
Yeah.
I turned around and I said to myself, okay, I want this particular color scheme. And what I determined is, first I determined what the geometry, let's put it this way, what the geometry of that color scheme was going to be. I want this pearl blue. I want a stripe of navy blue. I wanted a stripe of sky blue, and I want everything else to be white. So at that point, you figure out, okay, I need to know what I know what the geometry is. This is how I want the stripes to swoop in towards the root of the wing, and then come back towards the trailing edge. Swoop in towards the root of the wing, go back. Swoop into the root of the wing and go back. And at that point, once you know what the geometry is, then you turn around. What I did was like I said, I took some brown craft paper, the type of stuff that you wrap packages in. It's available at any Kinko's or Staples or online. They can come in big. They're about 36 inches wide and come like 50-foot rolls. It's fairly inexpensive. So what I did was, okay, I have to think of the blue back here, the pearlescent blue monocoat is got to be underneath the next layer because, of course, the overlap. Follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's going to have to be underneath the navy blue, and the navy blue is going to have to be underneath the sky blue. And then, of course, the last layer is going to be going on in the wing is going to be the white. So I turned around, and when I did it, I turned around and I cut a piece of monocoat, and I did the strips on the trailing edge of the wing and the leading edge of the flap, just as I showed. I pinned them down, and I covered them and pulled them out. And then what I did was, then I turned around and I cut out a piece of pearlescent blue, just big enough. I mean, like maybe a ½ inch larger than where this dividing line is between the navy and the pearl. It would be cut. I had cut a panel this wide all the way to the root and made sure I had enough to cover the flaps, top and bottom. And then what I did again, marked it on craft paper. I turned around and I said, okay, now I need this navy blue stripe, but I don't need a whole lot of it. So I turned around and I said, okay, I've got a ½ inch coming up maybe to the midpoint here. All right, so I'm going to cut out another piece. I'm going to cut out a piece of navy blue that is about that wide, from the leading trailing edge of the navy blue to the leading edge of the navy blue. It's maybe halfway into this sky blue. And I cut out, I traced it out as a pattern, and I cut this piece out right here and made sure I had enough to go all the way back to the trailing edge. So I cut basically out, if you can see my mouse, a piece that's shaped somewhat like this. And that's why it's important when I did the templates. And then I would do the same thing for the sky blue. I would turn around and I figured, okay, I want that about this far into the navy, and I need to have enough so the white overlaps it. So I'll take about 1 inch wide here, and I will turn around and I will cut out a piece of monocoat that is just in this shape alone.
Right.
This and all the way back to the trailing edge. And, you can see it here how narrow I would make it back to the trailing edge. And then finally I said, okay, now the last one is the white. And I would turn around and say, okay, the white was easy because I had a lot of, extra here that I can just trim off in the front. So I just cut out a big piece that just made sure that this curve followed the curve that I cut here and cut here. And that's basically how I determined the geometry and used the brown craft paper to cut template, basically a template that I would lay over the monocoat, trace it out, and I would use a knife on a cutting board, and I would just cut these pieces. And ultimately what I did is I just folded over the monocoat. So when I made a cut, I actually cut two pieces. And I did the same exact thing for the bottom. So ultimately, once I had the geometry figured out, that was done fine. And what you can't see in this photograph, because the flaps are up, I also had that filler piece that comes in behind, between the fuselage and the flap that you usually have. Well, as you can see here, I had that fillet material, like I said, that hobby epoxy or what that sig filler. I had my fillet done, and I just, like I said, I turned around and I brought that up because you can't see it here, but underneath all of this is that one stripe of white that goes from here all the way to the back, and it goes up on the side of the fuselage ahead of time.
Right.
So at that point, what I did is once the wings were finished, top and bottom, then what I did is I cut a piece of monocoat the length of the fuselage in this navy blue, from all the way to the front, all the way
Right.
to the tail. And then what I did is I took that piece and I turned around and I traced the root rib profile into the monocoat, cut it out with a razor knife, and since this white was all the way already onto the side of the fuselage, I just laid this on, made sure it was square and straight, tacked it in a couple places, and then pretty much ironed down and applied the blue. And then once I was done there, and I can't remember exactly the order I did it. I could have put the white down first here, all the way back to the rudder. I could have put down the white first and then put the blue down. It doesn't matter because any transition is hidden underneath the other surface. And the thing is just you have to make sure you have a good straight edge, and it's unlike silk span or doing that a paint method. Here, your geometry of your finish is done by actually cutting the pieces to fit the geometry, and rather than you put down the silk span, you make sure everything is covered in silk span, and then you mask. What you're doing in monocoat is you're basically doing the masking and the geometry first. That's the first thing you do, then put it down, and then seal it down and make sure everything follows along the same way.
Right.
And as you can see in a little bit here, I followed the same scheme on the stab and the elevator. It's basically the same exactly thing I did on the wing, except just scaled down a little bit. The white was not as wide, the blue was not as wide, the sky blue, the blue was not as wide, and so on. And the elevator was this complete pearlescent blue.
Hey, Peter, I have another question for you, Peter.
Sure.
On the wing, I'm not familiar with the Magnum. Is that a sheeted wing?
Yes, that's a foam wing. That's a foam sheeted wing on the Magnum.
All right, so then on the stab and elevator, when you put the film on, you're actually putting those over open bays, right? Or is that
the stab? No, on the Magnum, the stab is a sheeted foam core stab. The elevator is built up.
So would you have approached the method the same with open bay?
Yes, absolutely. Actually, the thing is, open bay is a little trickier because you do not have a contiguous surface that's a contiguous hard surface. You do have open ribs, and you have an open intermediate construction where it's not sheeted all the way through. So it's like, when you have let me stop sharing for a moment. Obviously, when you have something like this, you can't treat it because you have this here. You can't treat it as if this was one solid surface. And to be quite honest with you, it's more difficult. It's a little trickier to cover a completely sheeted solid surface and not have bubbles and all sorts of other nasty stuff going on than it is covering this. This is fairly easy. You don't have to worry about it too much. You're not going to have irregularities that can show up throughout the entire surface. Sheeted surfaces are a little bit more difficult to cover cleanly, and it requires a slightly different technique. It's some iron, and then you rely quite a bit more on how would I say a heat gun versus just using an iron alone. I can turn around. I can monocoat a open base structure with just an iron. I very rarely have needed to use a heat gun to do it. again, it's all patience. It's, you know, it all has to do with laying out your geometry and how the pieces are going to assemble versus when you're doing paint. Okay, I've got everything, everything is all covered. Now I have to figure out my masking scheme. With monocoat, it's almost like while you're building the airplane, you have to actually figure out the geometry of the finish while you're doing it or before you do it.
Excellent. Excellent. Anybody have any questions? I know I've asked a lot of questions myself. Anybody else have questions?
Well, I've just got a statement on that open, like on the open structure. One of the things that I do, and you might do it too, Peter, but I didn't hear you mention it, is I use a piece of glass. I make all my templates and get all, but I'll lay it out on a piece of glass.
Yeah.
Do my overlaps. Use a trim iron.
Yep.
And I'll trim it all together. Now I lift up. I got a full sheet.
You got a whole sheet.
Yeah, it has all my geometry on it. I can lay it down on there. Don't get crazy with the heat gun because you can make it separate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
But
that is one of the beautiful things about Monaco. I have not done it that way, and perhaps on future projects I may give that a try. But quite realistically, since you got a piece of Monaco here, and where's another piece? Jeez, there it is. You can have a piece of Monaco, and jeez.
There he is.
Yeah, the irons.
Yeah,
plus a heat gun and a.
And you know the small iron, the small little tiny iron that they have is also great.
He had one there.
There it is, trim iron. The nice thing about a trim iron too, it has that one shoe. It's got the curve in it, so you can use it on doing your fillets.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Here's one, Peter. Right here.
Peter.
Yep.
Yeah,
like I say, like John was saying, you have a piece here. I've taken this trim off of it, but even to a certain degree, you do not even necessarily sometimes have to have a intermedium to stick it down. I mean, I'm not using anything here, but what it is as you can see, my black is sitting on top of the chrome, and I do not have anything to stick it down with. As long as it's clean, let me turn around and let me do this. As long as it's clean, as long as it's pretty clean and you have it flattened. Right now, this is not clean at all. But I can turn around if I wanted to. Here's a monocoat that doesn't have the whatchamacallit on it, the backing. I just dip my finger in a little bit of alcohol. I turned around and I just dipped in a little bit of alcohol, but as you can see, it will sit right on there. And it even follow a curve to a certain degree. So you can turn around and you can lay out everything on a flat surface like this. Turn around and just give it a touch. A touch here, a touch here, a touch here. Let's say a touch there. And now it will sit right where you put it. I can turn around and bend it, crinkle it, whatever. You can see how it's just still sitting there.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
See that?
Yeah,
it gave it a little dab, and it's not even you don't even use full heat for that. You just use a tiny bit of heat, and it'll sit there. So when you're ready to put it down on your surface, it's all there. All you have to do is maybe work a little bit, and you notice that there's no air bubbles underneath that at all.
Fantastic.
And you can actually lay out your whole entire panel in that way, then hang it down and then put it down on the wing. And, you know, just like you would, make sure you try to keep, you want to keep it as wrinkle free when you put it down on your airframe as you can. Then you just tack the corners and you either use your heat gun and you just work it. And you're done.
Very good. Excellent.
It does require practice. It does require some practice. So what I always suggest to somebody who's not really ever really gotten into heavily with monocoat, obviously when you build a kit or something like that, but the unfortunate thing is monocoat is expensive, but still you have, and then this holds true for whether you're using solar film or you're using any one of the heat shrink type finishes. The same thing applies to all of them. So, you know, monocoat tends to be expensive. I always suggest to turn around as you get, when you're doing when you're building kits and stuff, you get a whole load, you know, a whole load of this stuff.
Right. True.
You know, you take some pieces that you know you're not going to use to, you know, to make, you know, you make filler blocks or anything like that out of. Practice on that. Practice stretching it, practice pulling it around the corner, see how the material reacts. And in basically no time at all, you'll be putting together finishes that are, I mean, they're not paint, and I will never say they are as good as you know, dope finishes, for the simple reason is that you have so much more, you have so many more things that you can do with dope or paint finishes, like, you know, doing transitions, doing shading, doing gradients, doing ink lines, all sorts of things that are not really possible to do with a monocoat, but you can ultimately do some pretty striking stuff. And I think I've taken up enough of everybody's time.
You did very good, though. Thank you very much. Good presentation.
Another thing we should probably mention is when you're doing over open bays where you have a seam that's exposed to the air, it's a good idea to use this monocoat trim solvent.
Yeah, trim solvent. Yeah, I've used it, yes.
And that seals down the edges so they don't lift, so you don't get a lot of drag while you're flying, which is a bad thing.
Now, what do you use to apply it? Do you use Q-tips? That's what I've been using. I'm wondering if I shouldn't use Q-tips.
That.
Yeah, Q-tips are okay. It's just like, you know, you find something that doesn't leave anything behind.
Right. Lint-free rag works really well.
Okay. So was that a no on the Q-tips or a yes? I didn't quite understand.
Well, as long as it doesn't leave behind, you know, cotton strands.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is that silk span and dope is a lot more tolerant if your surfaces are not, you know, squeaky clean. Monocoat, you got dust on there. You have to make sure your surfaces. First, you sand them as smooth as you did. Your sanding is important, or even maybe more important. Actually, it's more important, sanding and making sure your nicks and things are filled in. It's more important than when you're using silk span, because silk span is far more tolerant of something like that, because monocoat is a far thinner. Typically, it's a far thinner medium to work with. So if you've got dense bumps or grain to any extent, once you iron that down, it's gonna, because monocoat or these other covering films are typically so thin, they will follow any curve and contour, even if what it is you don't want it to see. The second thing, of course, with any film is it's got to be clean. The surface, you can't have dust. You can't have balsa dust on there. If you turn around and you have ink lines, that you have on your balsa, because you're using these ink lines to line things up, or to make sure things were square and stuff. Make
Right.
sure those ink lines are sanded out. For the simple reason of that is not all at least in monocoat, not all colors are equal. And why I say that is, if I turn around and I switch cameras for another second here. Okay. Hold on. What I mean there is that, all right, here's a right there, a bottle cap, and if I turn around, I don't know if you can see it. You see it?
Yeah.
You see it? You can actually see through it. And this is monocoat gold. And if you and this I discovered, rather late in the game. When I was building my vector, I was using this monocoat gold as one of the surfaces.
Right.
And what I realized after I covered half the stuff in all the areas that I wanted to use, all of a sudden I started seeing all of my ink lines, my lines that I use to make sure that the geometry between the wing and the fuselage,
Right.
I could see all that right through the covering.
Oh man. Oh no.
At that point, it was like, okay, no, it's too late now. Nothing I
Yeah,
can do
too
about it.
late.
So like I said, with monocoat, and that holds true for any film covering, especially because they're typically very thin. Make sure the colors you're using are either completely opaque, or make sure you don't have anything that you don't want to see there showing through it.
Right. Yeah. Very good tip. Very good.
Hey, Tom.
Yes.
How warm was it there today?
It was 40, I think, or 45.
A heat wave. He got a heat wave.
It was 75 here today.
Wow.
It was in the 80s.
Yeah, that was last week. We got that weather.
But
it rained all day here.
I threw away my thermometer, so it won't get any colder.
Sorry, Steve, it don't work like that.
I ain't testing the air anymore. The more you test, the colder it gets.
Hey guys, let me end the stream. We can continue on. I'm going to go ahead and end the stream real quick. Let me just first say thank you everybody for showing up. Had a great show this evening. We didn't have a whole lot of concurrent viewers. We only got up to like 11. We actually had more people inside the show today than we had outside. We had one time 13 people here inside the meeting, and 11 at the highest outside, and we had just about 2 people in the chat box. So the turnout was kind of low, but I thought the show was very good. We had some special guests, and Bart Kaplinski showing up, and Gerald hasn't been here in a while, and glad to see him back. But we talked about Russian lines. We Mike Lonke did a report on El Dorado contest and how his son Sam just kicked his butt, which was great. And then Mike showed a video of Sam flying the jet, which was amazing. 12-year-old hanging on to that jet. And then we talked about electric systems for a while, and it was neat hearing about John Miller's Rust-Oleum Painter's Touch Paint. And then Peter, he closed it out with a fantastic presentation on monocoat. So I think we had a really good show. So let me invite everybody to come back again. That'll be Friday, same bat time, same bat channel, and we will see you. Oh, by the way, before I close out, don't forget to like and share and subscribe. We appreciate that. It helps the channel. And don't forget the memberships, and please don't forget the super chats to help support the channel. So with that, I bid you all good night.